Hey my friends, this is going to be a very special video, I promise. It's a video I was planning on doing for a while, and I have a feeling it might be quite surprising to many people out there. See, we music producers and engineers tend to revere the beautiful sound of tape compression, for example, its silky top end, while many people seem to be very attached to the warmth and organic sound of vinyl. Some people, like myself, grew up with cassettes, and we definitely have nostalgic feelings for them. But how do all these formats actually sound like? Is analog really better? Does digital sound cold and sterile like some people think? Well, in this video, we're going to compare a digital master of the same song on vinyl, tape, cassette, and digital streaming like Spotify and Apple Music lossless side by side, and we're going to listen to how they really sound like, so that you can tell which one you actually prefer. And make sure you stick around until the end, because the results might just surprise you. First, let's talk a little bit about the music that I'm going to use, and let me explain how I went about creating this audio comparison. For this test, I'm going to use audio from my latest single, Home. This was mastered with analog gear and is at 48 kHz, 24-bit, mastered for Apple Music, as I'm a certified Apple Music mastering engineer myself. The reason why I decided to do this, apart of course from copyright reasons, obviously, is because I have the actual digital master of the song, so we can see how this master sounds in its pure form, and then we can compare it to the other formats. I also happen to have the vinyl version of my single, so we have the best case scenario for audio comparison. Let's talk a little bit about the gear now. For this test, I'm going to use devices that are consumer friendly. This is the premise. I'm not going to use high-end gear. My aim is to use what an average listener would have in their homes, readily available. So for vinyl, I have this guy right here. This is the Soundburger from Audio-Technica. This is a very popular device that has been used widely. It was first released in 1983, and it got sold out instantly when it was first reissued in 2022. Actually, everybody asked me what it is when I posted on my Instagram stories, and it has some great reviews in the hi-fi community in terms of sound quality. This has Bluetooth as well, but I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use the analog output for this test. Next, we have the Technics RS-BX404 cassette player deck. This is calibrated and maintained, but it's still an old device. I grew up listening to music on cassettes, so this really hits home for me. Next, for tape, we have this guy right here. This is the Akai 4000DS Mark II. This is actually my secret weapon, as I use this tape machine for many mixing, mastering, and sound design tasks, and I absolutely love it. I love the sound. Again, back in the 70s, this was a very popular reel-to-reel player and recorder. And lastly, we have Apple Music lossless and Spotify that I'm going to use in its best quality. And of course, I'm going to use fresh cassettes and tape. And even though this comparison is going to be for consumer devices and not high-end studio gear, I'm going to record all of the devices, the vinyl, the reel-to-reel, the cassette, into my mastering grade Lynx Hilo converter, so we can get a very accurate representation of the sound from each device. Are you ready? Are you excited? Let's have a listen. So here we are in Cubase, and as you can see, I've recorded everything through my Lynx converters, apart from, of course, the Spotify and the Apple Music. But basically what we have here is the original master, which is the wide one, and this is the only one I'm going to reveal right now, because this is going to be a blind test at first. What I want you to do now is I want you to listen, and I want you to write in the comments down below what you think the red file is, what you think the yellow file is, what you think the blue is, the green, and the orange. The white one is the master. That I give it away from now. So let's make it fun, no picking. I'm going to reveal later on which one is which. The other thing that I did in order to make this comparison more meaningful and more fair is that I normalized all the files to -14 LUFS so that any difference in volume wouldn't influence our perception of the sound. So they're all normalized at -14 LUFS. Okay, let's listen to the master first, the white audio.
It's a race that we chose to chase in this masquerade for a chance to flee from our minds.
Okay, so this is the master. So now I'm going to alternate between the different files. The file that you see that has the S button highlighted is the one that we're listening to.
It's a race that we chose to chase in this masquerade for a chance to flee from our minds.
To be honest with you, I'm very surprised. I am very surprised not only by how different they sound, but also what kind of qualities each file has. Obviously, some files are very different. They sound very different. And actually, you can see the difference in the waveforms. It's really remarkable how different they look. This is actually proof that the format, the medium, makes a huge difference to the sound, because this is my master right here, and you can see it's very loud. So I think it's around -6 LUFS. And see how it changes. See this red here? It seems like it has more dynamics. Same with the green one. It's really fascinating. I would welcome you to listen, close your eyes and listen to all the different elements. Listen to the snares, listen to the kick drum, the drums, listen to the mid-range, the vocals, the stereo width, the highs, the top end, the sibilance, the actual top end of the vocals. All these things are massively different, especially for the files that are obviously different. Okay, so are you ready? I hope you didn't cheat, right? I hope you have already written down your guesses in the comments. This is going to be the fun thing, you know? Now we're going to reveal what each file is. So let's open up our channels right here. So there you go. The big reveal. The red one is the reel-to-reel. The third one, the green one, is the vinyl. When I first did the test, I was actually so surprised that I recorded several songs. I even recorded some albums that I have from Queen, from Muse, many different albums, and the sound profile was the same on all the albums that I played in digital versus vinyl. Next, we have cassettes, and that was a very surprising sound for me. I'm very familiar with the cassette sound. Then we have Apple Music lossless. So this is lossless format from Apple Music. It's at 48 kilohertz, 24 bits. It's my favorite format when I'm streaming. And then we have Spotify in its best quality. So now that you know all this, let's have a listen again and let's see what we can observe. So I don't know about you, let me know in the comments down below, but I really, really like the sound of the reel-to-reel. It's a sound that I would easily use for a mastering project. Is it high fidelity? Is it the best quality? Maybe not, but I really like what it does to the sound. It projects the mid-range, and it actually sounds a tiny bit louder when you normalize to -14 LUFS. That's why we use so many tape plugins, so many tape emulations. There's something special about tape that you really can hear. It's not just nostalgia, in my opinion. This is a great sound. Check it out again. Sounds very open, very silky, and I have to say I didn't drive it. I mean, if you want, you can experiment and drive the tape and you can get this beautiful tape saturation. So as you can see, actually it gained more dynamics. It's kind of insane if you think about it. It's impressive, isn't it? It's really interesting. Reel-to-reel, that's the reason why I got this, why I have it, why I use it. It's absolutely fantastic. I love this guy. How can you replace this? The next one is vinyl. I think this was the one that stuck out. It's very, very different. So again, let's listen. You can see that again, it has dynamics here. It's way more dynamic than the digital master version. So let's listen again compared to the master. Very interesting, right? This definitely sounds warmer. And I have to say, before I edited this video, while I was doing my first test, I played this to quite a few people, and many people preferred the sound of the vinyl. They actually found it very pleasing. And I'm not talking about audio engineers, because audio engineers would immediately tell that there's a very big difference in the sound. It sounds a little bit scooped. It sounds like the low end is exaggerated and the top end is very nice and silky. It has a very nice, smooth top end. But most people that I played it to that were not audio engineers, they tended to gravitate towards the vinyl, which was very interesting. Because when I first heard it, I was like, that doesn't sound like my master anymore. It sounds great, but it's not, what I mastered. But do I like it? I do. I actually like it a lot. This is the reason why so many people think that vinyl is warm and organic. Could be. Because the top end is also remarkable. Listen to this. In this version, in the vinyl version, you can clearly hear the breath layers that we recorded. Because for this track, I also recorded some breath vocals that are basically, tonight I'm gonna make it on my own. And this comes out, it's so obvious on the vinyl, where in the original master, it's kind of blended. That's what was supposed to happen. It's not supposed to be an element that you actually can pick out of the vocal arrangement. It's supposed to be an extra layer, but on the vinyl, it's very exposed. and in a very nice way. I really like it. So we have lots of low mids, low end, sparkly highs, a little bit of a recessed mid range. And yeah, if you play the master in comparison, it sounds a little bit more, how can I say it, in your face, where the vinyl sounds a little bit more round and warm. I have to say again, I didn't record this using Bluetooth, so there's no problem with the codec. I recorded it from the analog out and I went straight to mastering grade converters. And like I said, I tried other albums and I got the exact same result. Now, let's go to the cassette and let's listen to it. That was also very interesting to me. You also heard a little bit of a break right there. I mean, that's what cassettes do. Okay, so this is a sound that I'm very familiar with. I could pick it out very, very easily because it has this kind of compressed sound. It's not the best quality. I don't think cassettes were the best medium to listen to music, but it's very interesting to hear how it sounds. It sounds a tiny bit saturated. I want to say the mid-range is a little bit more compact. Have a listen. Also, the drums are way more round and the transients are pretty much gone. Listen to the snare. And it's also very interesting what happens to the stereo field, to the side signal, all the stereo information. And it sounds a little bit quieter, this one, okay? So yeah, I mean, cassettes, it's in my heart, but yeah, I think it might not be the best way to listen to music. Now we have some other interesting things. We have Apple Music lossless and we have Spotify. So let's see if we can hear a difference there. I have to say, I was impressed by this, and the reason is I feel that even though it's lossless, I don't know why that is, but it sounds like it's a little bit more narrow, and the original master is, has a little bit more width. Have a listen. Let me know if you hear the same thing. I would take this any day. And I have to say here, check out the Apple Music lossless is the one that retained the actual original waveform the way it actually is. Even the Spotify best quality, see how it changes the sound? See, the waveform doesn't look the same anymore. I mean, this is the actual encoding from Spotify, and the worse the quality, you will see even more of these. That's why it's so important to master correctly when you're going to upload on Spotify, because Spotify has some specific processing that causes these little peaks right here. So now let's listen to the original and we'll compare it to the Spotify version. I What do you think? I'm not gonna comment on this one. I want you to tell me what you think about this. And as the last thing, I'm going to compare the spectrum analyzer for all the different versions while they're playing. Let's try the vinyl. And here we can see, yes, there's more low end. It's a little bit recessed in the mid-range, and then we have a little bit of a boost in the very top end. Very, very interesting. Pretty much what we could hear. And let's try the reel-to-reel. Yeah, and here we have the exact opposite. We have a little bit less low end. We have a nice boost in the mids. And you know what? The top end is very similar. It looks like it has retained the exact profile of the top end. I kind of like this sound, to be honest with you. And see how the cassette rolls off here in the top end compared to the master? That's very interesting. Let's compare it to Apple Music. That is very interesting. You can see that it's identical apart from the top end. See this roll off right here? That's very strange. I'm not sure why that is. It doesn't make much sense because it's lossless. They use lossless ALAC. Interesting. So there you go, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this video. In the comments down below, I want to hear your thoughts. Was this what you expected from each format? Which example surprised you the most? And of course, which format did you prefer the most in terms of sound? Remember, there is no right or wrong. Music is a very personal thing, and the beautiful thing is that nowadays we have the choice to enjoy it in any form we prefer. I'm Sigalas. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.